Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, where this whole day seems to be a theme that I think is very, very important. And that's making sure that young people are healthy, happy, and successful. And this, I think, is an important, well, I know it's an important topic to Jen Billow, who is here at the Park City Education Foundation. And with her, she brought Amy Jenkins as well. And then we've got Sadie and Chris. Welcome, all of you, to the program. It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
We have so many different facets of making sure that our young people are happy, healthy, productive, educated, and making sure that they have the opportunity to get that education and doing it in a good environment is not easy.
No.
That's where you guys come in.
Right. So, yes, with the Park City Education Foundation. So that's who I'm with.
Yeah.
And we raise money to fund extra programs that the district can't afford. And so we've been pretty focused on academic programs, and what we found in the last couple years in modern society is that just focusing on academic, like kids can't learn if they're hungry, or kids can't learn if they are really stressed and anxious mentally, and that's more and more of a factor. And you might have—
It really is more and more of a factor. I want to
more and more of a factor.
Emphasize this. I mean, we just talked with the royalty for Summit County, and you know, we're talking about the fair, but at the same time, their platform for a couple of them was about this, about social media and how it affects young people and the stressors that are there that we have never dealt with. We don't have as a typical, we don't remember that. We didn't have that.
We didn't have that.
And so it's a new world. And we talked to that with Mary Krista Smith earlier in our first hour about that in the schools. These topics are tremendously important, because without being able to just stay chill and being happy, you can't learn.
It's impossible to learn, and also, I mean, even beyond that, it can just affect a student. You know, we had the deaths of the 2 Treasure Mountain junior high students last fall, and so we really, in the last year, got so many requests for programs to help in that capacity, and Amy will talk more about what we're doing specifically at Treasure, programs we're funding. We're also finding you can have fantastic students who are working really hard, volunteering, but perhaps they're the first in their family to go to college, and that is a whole different realm, and there's none of that background where, you know, maybe I've taken my kids to college, or they've heard stories about dorm life or eating in the dining commons, or
even how to apply.
And so we have kids that want that, and then they get there, and then it's very hard to finish because of all the obstacles. So we fund a program called Bright Futures that helps first-generation students not only get to college, but then we're planning on staying with them all the way through graduation.
Wow.
And so Chris and Sadie are the first, they were in our first class last year, so they're juniors this year, and this will be their second year in Bright Futures, and they can talk about that. So 2 seemingly different areas, but it actually is all for student success.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with Amy Jenkins and your program, MASA, is it?
We do Mustang After School Academy. We wrote a grant last year and received funding from Ed Foundation, and received funding again this year to continue on and continue building. Essentially what we do is we match up student interests with someone in the building who's willing to supervise kids doing those activities. So anywhere from art to driving RC cars to mixing music in a DJ booth to creating music with teachers who are in bands. So, and then we even did some other programs like book clubs, just kids that have similar interests wanting to stay together after school and kind of pursue those passions. Our staff knows that the relationships they build with those kids during that time is what leverages additional academic success out of them. But it also is nice for parents to know that there's a safe place for kids to be after school. The Ed Foundation makes it possible for kids to come without having to pay anything. So it's free to all of our students, and we just essentially pay our teachers their time to be with kids after school.
Wow.
So it's exciting. It's fun to see when kids come to you and say, I'm really interested in doing this, and we're like, all right, let's figure out how to do it. And our job, I think, is to say yes. Because if they want to stay after school in a safe spot and enjoy an activity with a supervising adult, we're all about it.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, we couldn't really ask for more, I don't suppose.
And
really.
we have such, we've got such an athletic community, and so many of our kids are involved in some sort of sport or activity after school. And once they get into high school, those extracurriculars turn into more high school-based things. But we saw a gap between after-school programming at the lower levels and at the high school. And so
Yeah.
we really are trying to meet that, fill that gap and meet the needs of our kids, that it's a little more unique. So.
Yeah, junior high is especially difficult for that, I find. It's the transitional periods when they're under the most stress. There's so many things about it that are difficult.
Yeah.
Having one more element of smoothing that out a little
Sure,
bit. is a
sure,
good
and
plan.
let them kind of figure out who they are. That's
Yeah.
that whole point of being in junior high is you're going. You guys know you're going through these like multiple identities, and like friend groups change and interests change, and what we didn't want to do is make it real rigid where they felt like they had to commit to a long period of time with something, but they could kind of bounce around and explore a lot of different options. And so I think what was interesting is as kids started staying after school at the beginning of last year, it was kind of a small group, and then their friends started staying, and then so it kept
Right.
growing and growing and growing. And this year, our plan with the additional funds from Ed Foundation is to network with some more community groups through the Community Ed Foundation. The
Community Foundation.
Community Foundation
Yes.
as well, and kind of bring in some more partnerships from out in the community. So.
Let's talk a little bit about the restorative justice training. This is an important element as well.
Yeah, this is brand new this year that, again, funding from Ed Foundation is going to allow us to train some teachers and start putting in the foundational pieces for building positive relationships at school throughout all of our different groups. Restorative practices are not new. Many school districts across the nation are using it in a way to reduce the number of suspensions in schools that kind of put kids in that place where they're at risk of not graduating, and then of course other bad things, incarceration, things like that in
Right.
their lives. So for us, it's really looking at how can we build a better culture at Treasure Mountain, show connectedness between kids and the staff and the community, and then give kids pro-social skills for that they're going to use for the rest of their lives. How to
Right.
talk to each other, how to listen, things like that. So the funds that Ed Foundation have provided for us will, like I said, allow us to train a group of teachers that will then train the rest of our staff, and then also just some materials for kind of using, lessons and things like that. So
You hit on something that's so important because we kind of have sort of almost got into this a little bit today, but I think it bears sort of hitting it head on, which is that we all know, and I bet you guys will agree with this, when it comes to parents telling their kids how to be friends with their friends and how to be popular, how to any of that, we're the last person they want to hear that from.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
That is not a parent zone.
No.
Just like you should teach your kids to ski, right? You let somebody else do it. Let a pro. Same kind of thing when it
Right.
comes to teaching them how to interact with
Right.
each other.
Right.
I'm going to leave that to you guys. That's a really good area for you to focus on, and let us step back a bit.
Yeah, and we're hoping it kind of bleeds over into the relationships with parents as well.
Right.
So kids come home and they know an effective way to communicate and how
And
to
to
listen
listen.
and hear each other's honest truths about things, and really kind of get to like, we have a common goal. Let's work towards it. So,
Wow.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. We're
That is really
I'm
awesome.
kind of excited for school to start this year.
Yeah, I can see why. I'm not sure the kids are, but I know
That's
you
okay.
are.
We are.
Well, we're going to turn our attention to that with Bright Futures in a moment, but I want to take a quick break. I think this seems like a great time to do that. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk to you guys, Sadie and Chris. So you'll want to stay tuned here to the Mountain Morning Show as we just break away for just a moment, come back, and we'll talk Bright Futures right after this. Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. We're talking about some fun stuff, including the fair right now. We're kind of talking about getting around and experiencing life a little bit more. This is a really great way to transition to our young people for a moment. So Sadie and Chris are here, and we're talking about Bright Futures. Learning, putting together the idea of going to college when you're first time in your family is not easy. Is this experience for both of you then?
Yeah, we're both first generation college students.
First generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What is that like, and what did that mean for you trying to figure it all out and navigate that landscape?
It was insane before Bright Futures came in. I had no idea. I was just I was told to go to college.
Yeah,
but I
go to
wasn't-
college.
Yeah, it was just like
Okay.
that go to college thing, and I was like, got it, I'll go to college, and then never really thought about how to go to college.
Right?
Or
And
how
then suddenly it was upon you.
Suddenly I'm junior year, and I was just like, oh, I should probably get going on this college thing and learn how to actually do it, the application.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
Where are we at now with yours? Let's hear about that.
I'm doing
Everything's
great.
all set?
Yeah, at least the application-wise, I know how to do it now.
Right.
Like I still don't know like much experience. I haven't had much experience with it, but so far so good. I'm really thankful that this program's here.
Indeed. How about for you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, kind of like, I also grew up kind of hearing from like my parents, like, go to college, you have to go to college, college, and I was like, okay, I'm going to college. But then like now it's kind of like we started learning like generals and then like what you want to major in, and like I would. Like when I first learned about it, then I was like talking to my parents about it, and they're like, I don't understand. Like I don't.
Right.
I don't understand what you're trying to explain to me, and I'm like, I'm going to college, but like I know.
Yeah,
at
I'm
least,
doing
like,
the
I
thing
know
you
that I
wanted
have
me to do.
help.
I'm going to go to
Yeah.
college. I
Yeah.
wish we could talk about it and figure out what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
That's where Bright Futures comes in.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
definitely kind of having bright futures and like for them to help me, then it like helps me know without like really having to like try to explain to my parents something they don't really understand.
Us trying to explain it to our parents before Bright Futures was like,
Yeah, it
it's
was
just
really
two
hard,
people,
yeah.
really lost people trying to explain college.
So like now it's like our like Rebecca, she explains it to our parents and like what the process is supposed to be for us to get to
Shout
Bright
out to
Futures.
Rebecca.
Yeah, so it's like way better.
Yeah, Rebecca is she like a counselor for this? Is that the best
Yeah,
way to
she's like
describe
kind of
her?
like our leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's the one that's really making sure that you guys do everything that's necessary so that you're ready to go.
Yes.
Where are we at in the process for each of you at this point?
We have gone to college visits, and they're telling us like about ACT and like ACT prep and like everything
Right.
we can kind of do to get scholarships and like get to college. And they like definitely make us feel sure about ourselves, and they're like, don't worry about money. Like money is like the last thing you have to
And
worry about.
I get that. And I didn't, same thing. Now I was second generation, but my dad was gone and he was the one who went. So I didn't have anybody either for that except my grandparents who had
Yeah.
not a clue. And so I relate to this because, yeah, I'm like, well, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I didn't even try for a long time.
So she like tells us, she's like, you guys are gonna have opportunities for scholarships. There's no need to worry about money. That's the last thing you ever have to worry about.
Right?
Kind of like you, I was like you a lot, where I was just like, all right, I'm going to college, but I always kind of got shut down by the whole price thing. When
Yeah.
I saw those really big numbers. Those
They're
zeros,
huge for a
yeah.
young person to look at, right? You're
Yeah,
like,
and-
if I'm lucky, I can buy a car, you know.
Exactly.
But when I start looking at college costs more than that every 3 months, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
So once Bright Futures came, it was like, don't even look at the price right now and just focus on getting you into college.
Yes.
And then we'll figure out scholarships to get you there and make you,
grants and
yeah,
things.
some grants. Then I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't even have to worry about it this too much. I
Yeah.
just have to.
The landscape of grants was the one that scared me the most, but that's something that people don't apply to because it is scary.
Yeah.
You were gonna
And
say
it
something.
like wasn't even just like, it's not even just about college. It's like about like experiencing so many things that like people in Park City experience maybe,
Yeah.
like because they'll like take us out to skiing and like go to the Olympic Park and like do some of the things there. So it's like not just even like it's get us through college, but it's also like have fun in the area you live in too. So like all these opportunities that like maybe we wouldn't have done if it wasn't for Bright Futures.
Well, and that's an important part of the college experience too, is enjoy where you go and figure out where you're going to go. Have you figured out where you want to go to school yet? Where have you applied to?
We haven't applied to any schools yet.
Okay, where are you going to go? Where do you want to apply?
In Utah, I really like to go to the U.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
And for you,
I want to
Sadie?
go to the U.
The U. You got, all right. I love it. Okay. I'm glad to hear that. It's exciting. But we've got just a moment left, so I want to talk about how this is all possible.
Yeah, so we've been raising, so it took about 3 years to get Bright Future started. It's based on a very successful program in Southern California. And then we also have raised funds. So we have to pay, Rebecca, for instance, is the
Right.
director of the program, and eventually there'll be about almost 200 kids in it. So it's a fairly expensive program, so we have to raise funds. And we just got a fabulous matching grant from the Rotary Club of Park City
Wow.
for $50,000, which is huge. I mean, if you think of Rotary, that's sort of the backbone business people of the town. and they are investing in the future of our children. So it's wonderful.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate the Rotary, and I certainly appreciate you all being here.
Thank you.
And sharing the messaging, which is so important as you look to your children's future, or if you're watching the program and you're a young person getting ready to go back to school this year, kind of wondering how you're going to navigate that landscape, so to speak. Well, this is where you start. So the Park City Education Foundation and, of course, Bright Futures and more. We will see you on tomorrow's Mountain Morning Show from 7 to 11 for all of our guests. Thank you for being here. For all of you for joining us, we'll see you tomorrow from 7 to 11. And for all of us here at Park City Television, please get outside. See you then.